welcome. I'm going to give you guys a round of applause for coming. Thank you for choosing. You had a choice of one or three, and you've chosen swiping right, finding your ideal customer profile, and the partner or the partners that are right for you. So thank you for coming. Welcome. My name is Adam Furness. I'm the Managing Director for Impact.com across Asia Pacific. Is my mic working? Yes, it is. I can hear myself now. And it's my pleasure to be here. I've got a wonderful panel. I'm going to get the team to introduce themselves. And I'm going to give you a fun fact about each person after they introduce themselves. Okay, so we're going to start here with Heidi.
Hi, I'm Heidi Rumpf. I am with Foot Locker, and I am the Senior Manager of Affiliate Marketing.
Fun fact, Heidi is followed on Twitter by Missy Elliott. It's true. It's
yes.
true. It's true.
For about 6 years now.
Welcome, Heidi. And then we've got Ian.
My name is Ian Bentley. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Parker Clay. You guys got those journals, so hopefully you get them initialed.
So we know what Parker Clay is. Fun fact about Ian. Ian has never swiped right or left, but Parker Clay, so that's one fun fact. I'm going to give two.
Give two. Parker
Clay is the name of Ian's sons. So that's pretty special. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah.
Marty?
Hi, I'm Martin. I'm Emerging Partnership Lead for Skyscanner.
Skyscanner? What does Skyscanner do, Marty?
Skyscanner are a travel brand, so we serve 75 million travelers each month across 52 countries.
Fun fact about Marty, they call him Party Marty. Apparently he loves a dance-off. So we're looking forward to that. Dave Yovano and Party Marty tonight, a bit of breakdancing. Thank you, Marty. And Anna?
My name is Anna Samkova. I'm a GM for Digital and Marketing at Brand Collective Group. If my accent confuses you, it's because I live in Australia, but I'm originally from Ukraine. I migrated many years ago. But Brand Collective is the cohort of 26 brands. It's the third largest apparel and footwear brand in Australia.
Thank you, Anna. Fun fact about Anna. Which one am I going to choose?
Yeah.
Anna is a risk taker, loves risks. She's also a sharp shooter. So be careful if she's got a pistol in her hand and you're running away.
I have not, I promise you, I never held a gun in my hands, but somehow all the shooting competitions, I always win them. I don't know why.
Oh, okay, it's good to know. We can have some fun tonight, a bit of
really,
dancing, a bit of shooting. Okay, so we're going to talk about ideal customer profiles. We're going to talk about finding the right kind of partner so you're able to attract those right customers. Okay, so ICP, ideal customer profile, IPP, ideal partner profile, and they're all the things we're going to talk about. So why don't we start with the ICP? Heidi, what are the key elements when you're thinking about an ideal customer profile? What are the key elements that you're looking for?
So for Foot Locker, as you would imagine, we are a Gen Z company, so we're really looking for partners that focus in on there. So, maybe not going after an AARP probably would not be a great partnership for us. But when we look at, programs like Student Beans, where it's curating offers for that Gen Z, that college student, that's like an ideal partner that has that ideal customer profile that we're looking for.
Got it. Thank you. Ian, when you were thinking about the ideal customer profile, so not so much on the partner yet, but focusing on the customer, what elements are you looking for in that ideal customer profile?
Yeah, when we started Parker Clay, we were living in Ethiopia, and in 2013, there was, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a factory in Bangladesh that collapsed, and it killed over 1,000 people. And so a lot of conversations started happening around fast fashion, similarly to what we were talking about with fast food, right? We know it's not great for us. So with fast fashion, what is happening behind the scenes? And that really started this movement around conscious consumerism. And so our ideal customer is someone who wants to celebrate the people behind the product as much as the product itself. And so that's something that we really look for, whether the consumer or the partner. I think that has to be something meaningful, and we're seeing that movement continue to grow, and excited to be part of it.
Yeah, sure. I could imagine your ideal customer probably isn't as price sensitive as others may be. Would that be correct?
Yeah, definitely. And I think people, I've even talked to some of our core customers who have said, the classic e-commerce move is welcome discounts and things like that. And we've even gotten some feedback from customers emailing us saying, I don't want a discount. I want to pay full price because I want to be part of this impact with you guys. And so, obviously that doesn't, I wish everyone would say that. That's not always true. But it is something where the consumer, when you're transparent about the way you make things and how you make them, and you allow people to come inside that conversation, I think it really opens up, the ability to talk about that price. But at the same time, we try to be in an obtainable premium space.
Got it. What about you, Marty? Ideal customer profile.
So working in travel tends to be a much more considered purchase. So unlikely going to wake up in the morning and by tea time you've made that purchase. So one of the things we think about is, where is the customer in the funnel? Are they looking for inspiration? Are they planning, or are they buying? And then obviously we want to target each one of these groups, but we do that in different ways. So that helps us inform the partners that we then go after.
Got it. And Anna, ideal customer profile?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question for us because we don't have a luxury of owning one brand only. Across 26 brands, it's very diverse. So we cater for anyone from the age of 5 to the age of 80 plus, men and women. And it's always that conversation that how do we stay relevant to that consumer segment in any given moment? I think relevancy is very important. And the ideal customer is the one who is, you need to understand what is your current customer behavior is in order to match to that behavior so that you don't go into a spray and pray situation. So we're always very selective and we're very careful in how we curate our customer right now in order to match to that ideal profile.
And how, I'm going to stick with you, Anna, how would you incorporate it into your marketing strategy or your partner strategy?
Yeah, so we introduced, this is a very good question, Adam. We introduced the customer data profile. We introduced it when no one even knew how to spell it out. So when I was naming the CDP, everyone was just like, what's CDP? So our customer data profile helped us to segment our data, understand our customers, understand everything about them, what category they shop with us across, what they're purchasing, how frequently they shop with us, across which channels, and create those cohort of customers that we knew exactly who they are and where they are. And that's how we started to incorporate it into our marketing calendars. We moved away from spray and pray years ago. We started personalizing every single email communication that goes out. So we have about 150 attributes to our customers. That's a lot. So just to put it in perspective, we have about 2 million customers on our database. So it's not easy to personalize it, but that's what Customer Data Platform does. We made that investment 4 years ago and we never looked back. So I can confidently tell you now that we definitely know who our customer is.
It's a good thing. Ian, what about yourself? How do you incorporate the ideal customer profile into your strategies?
Yeah, I think across the different channels that we market in, there's different ways that we do that. I think a lot of it is storytelling. I think finding what differentiates your brand as well is really important. We're not the only bag company in the world, right? But what makes us different is, I think, our story and the connection to people behind it. So when we're looking for that ideal customer, I think that and I think it's been talked about a lot today, where this sense of authenticity, how many of you have kids or grandkids, or, I think the fact for me, I want to connect on an individual level. The reason why we moved to Ethiopia was because I saw my kids playing in the front yard, and I heard on the news that there was 140 million orphans in the world. And I thought, what if that was Parker? What if that was Clay? And that led us to adopting our daughter from Ethiopia. And I think when you personalize this, that it moves you differently. I think sometimes we talk about consumers, we talk about data, but when you make it personal, it changes the lens in which you look at it. And so we always try to really infuse that personal piece in our core customer messaging, because we want people to know that they can be part of this with us.
Yeah, man, I love your story so much, the Parker Clay story. It's beautiful. Make sure you grab a book out, a notebook out there as well. Get it personalised, but it is a beautiful story. So when we talk about the ideal customer profile and being able to, I guess, pull the data together, what tools and what techniques, Marty? This one's going to be for you. So what tools, what techniques can you use to get that ideal customer profile?
So, spoiler alert, this probably isn't groundbreaking, but I think it's really important. It's don't start from scratch. So normally within your business, there's so many different places and so much data that you can pull on. So for us, for example, our brand team have had done some audience segmentation and target audience segmentation, 25,000 video interviews. So like we use that, but normally businesses don't build product without research. So tap into that product research. What are your customers saying when they're getting in touch with you? Is it positive feedback? What things can we improve on? So really look at the data that you've got before you go trying to find new data. Look at the insights and data that you have internally to try and help build that profile.
Got it. Anna, you touched on it just before. You've done a fair bit of work around sort of the tools and techniques to identify the ideal customer profile. Is there anything that you want to add to what you said?
Yeah, I think you can have a lot of technology. You can have a very complex tech stack, but at some point you need to make sure that it matches with humans as well, because there is someone who is in your team that need to own certain channels and make it scalable across different departments. Because even with CDP, I can tell you across 26 brands, and I actually tested that the other day. One of our brands, Volleys, asked their marketing manager. He asked me about Facebook attribution, and I said, before we go into that Facebook ads attribution, tell me who you're trying to target. Who is your ideal customer? He wasn't able to answer that question for me. He said to me, I don't know. I said, well, then what's the point of this discussion? We just need to find out. We need to go back to basics and bring that into all the marketing discussions, and then we'll talk about the attribution from each channel. So you'll be surprised in the organization, especially when you onboard new people, how often it gets overlooked. Something as simple as that, start with the customer, and that would be a good start for you, because we all need to go back to basics sometimes, because the technology is there. Impact technology is the best in the world. It will answer, it can do anything for you, but you need also humans who can empower and use that technology. So.
Now, Ian, I think earlier on you shared a story that you might have had a slightly different way. I think you were calling or...
Yeah, I mean, so we started from scratch. I mean, when we were in Ethiopia making these products, it was just an idea. And so my wife and I had never made a bag before. We were both creative and loved design, but we just kind of figured it out. And with limited budget, right? So as we've kind of grown and added on more technology, we've been able to do more. But early stage, you're kind of scrappy. And so one thing we did, and again, to connect to the customer, we often talk about what scales. Like that's the sexy thing to talk about. Does it scale and how do we scale? But do you ever ask the question, like, do things that don't scale? Why? Because maybe they're different. Maybe no one else is doing it. And for us, we decided to take all of our top customers, and in November, typically a month of Thanksgiving and kind of gratitude, we just decided to call our top customers. And it was, some calls were really random, like, why are you calling me, what do you want? And it was just we just wanted to say thank you for being part of this with us. And that people still talk about to this day. It's gotten harder now as we've gotten bigger.
Yeah.
But finding little pockets of ways to do things like that and connect with the customer has been huge for us. So calling people, getting to know them, hearing directly from them is huge. If you don't have the capacity or technology, find other ways to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. So now that you've identify the right sort of customer that you want for your business. It's about identifying the partner or the ideal partner profile. So Heidi, I'm going to come to you in a second. So when you're thinking about identifying the right partner, what are the sort of things that you have to consider?
So at Foot Locker, our goals have really shifted to be product-led. So, to build revenue for the future, we're looking to expand our business past being such a Nike men's footwear business. How do we grow our women's business? How do we go about growing our non-Nike demand? And we've really partnered quite well with Mia, our customer success manager, to develop reporting with an impact that shows us where are those customers, where are they shopping, what kind of publishers do they come from. So really using that as an informed approach to see where maybe a media partner will say, I have a 60% women's audience. Well, it's actually not where our women's shoppers are converting. And taking that informed approach when we go out and we recruit or when we want to optimize with them, and even then we've also even developed our customer like new to file and retention reporting and finding which kinds of partners are driving long-term retention. So who are those kinds of partners that are even reintroducing customers who haven't shopped with us in like the last 2 years has been really a valuable piece of information that I figured out last week how to do.
Good?
Yes.
What about you, Marty? So elements for an ideal partner profile.
So we can kind of try and think about it from, there's obviously not one. So what we try and do is think about our objectives, think about the market we're in, the product we're trying to promote. Is it hotels or is it a destination? And then we build the profile from there. So for example, it could be that a market where we don't have huge brand awareness. So how can we partner with a bigger brand to leverage their brand and their power? And then perhaps do some commercial content on top of that to raise that brand awareness.
Okay. And as you're thinking through the ideal partner profile, what are some of the elements you're considering?
Very similar approach to what Martin just mentioned. So when we're launching a new brand on the market, for example, Replay. So I don't know how many of you know, Impact product manager Max would know, being Italian. So it's a luxury denim brand, Italian brand. We fully aware that there is little brand awareness on the market. And by the way, Adam is wearing the brand today. So thank you.
Replay.
For your
Replay.
Yeah.
I should have bought it at Foot Locker, but
Yeah.
And you see he
We'll have
was
to talk about
invited to the
Clay.
product launch, the store opening launch. So thank you for your support. But so we are looking for partners that will provide content partners in that regard. We launched Reebok yesterday. It's under license, so we have license for APAC. Everyone knows Reebok, so it's a very well-established brand. So we're not going to go through content partners, but we will be promoting it through large database partners. In any case, we became quite lazy since we partnered with Impact because I just called the team and asked them questions. Who do you think you should partner with? And they come up with a strategy. Your team does it, Adam. So that's just, you do all the heavy lifting, which is great, because across so many brands, it's almost impossible to come up with something that is as relevant and tailored to every single brand. So big shout out to your team.
Thank you. I was hoping to get a QR code on the bottom
Yes,
of my
please.
shoes so everyone could get a discount, but
Yeah.
it's not there.
Yeah, I'll organize an affiliate link for you. How about that?
Next time. So, Ian, I'm going to come to you. So now you've identified the right kind of partners to attract the right sort of customers. How do you capture the value of those partners? Like, what are the things that you're looking for to show those partners have added value?
Yeah, I mean, and the metrics around, are they driving traffic? Are they building awareness? It depends on obviously the channel that they're in. But I think the ideal partner for us is someone. We all have stories. Some may be more complex than others. But I think that when you're trying to bring out the life of a brand, it takes time. And especially for us, we kind of touch on multiple dimensions from our own factory in Ethiopia to their stories and our story. And so finding a partner who can help us tell that story. We kind of say sometimes it's more about that slow burn versus this like flash in the pan. Because we've partnered with some bigger names and we've paid for some bigger placement, and honestly, those don't always work. It's sometimes those more, maybe it's a micro influencer or someone who is more connected to our core customers and speaking to them. So, we look at engagement on social. Obviously, I was talking about investing in shiny objects or technology, but what is good is when you find a good technology, and Impact is one of them, you can filter so much through that technology that it tells you and gives you more information than you need. But I think it's really important that you identify what those KPIs are up front, because it's not, at the end of the day, I like to look at sales reports. I know we even talked about that. What's the revenue? But that's the lagging, that's the thing that's at the end. What's happening before that? And that's where you have to have the data to back it up.
Sure. Heidi, how are you determining value from partners? What are the sort of things you're looking at?
So what we've started to look at is looking past the top line. Top line doesn't always show the measure of success. So when we're doing a campaign, when we're trying to grow, the women's brand of Foot Locker, it might not always reflect in the top line, but when we start to segment out the performance, we're like, wow, if we just looked at the top line, it almost looked flat. But when we look at it and really dive well into our reporting, we've seen that this boosted the women's business like 100% period over period. And so we're really looking for those that move the needle on those incremental, strategic growth lanes for us that are going to help us out in the future. I think we've really thought of, if we just look at the top line and we just look at the ROAS too, it doesn't really help fuel that kind of growth. And we've realized that if you want to grow a lane that you've never been really known for, it takes time. And ROAS doesn't always show that too. So that's where we really try to look past the top line all the time and really measure what did it really do for us product-wise and how is this going to fuel our future.
Got it. Marty, are you going deeper than ROAS? Are you diving into lifetime value and other type of metrics? And if you are, how are you doing that?
So not so much lifetime value. It's something that we struggle with as a meta, where we don't have that. We're not the merchant of record. We're not the brand that's where the purchase is happening. So we're starting to look at metrics, again, not just that bottom line, but looking at, Skyscanner have never really invested much in the brand and awareness. And it's funny, speaking to a lot of people today, people that use Skyscanner absolutely love it, but not enough people know about it. So what we're trying to do is look at those further up the funnel metrics and try and also expand the scope of partnerships. So not just be focusing on the traditional affiliate executions, looking at brand opportunities, content, influencers, etc.
Actually, let's talk a little bit more about that. So when you think about the partners in your ecosystem, how many different types of partners do you have?
So yeah, it's really diverse. And I think what we are trying to do as a team is grab as much of that as possible, to be completely honest. And Impact have helped us, your acquisitions of the likes of Activate, where we can work with influencers. What we're trying to do is grab as much as we can within our team, because we believe that bringing these types of partnerships together can make them more powerful. So we're trying to essentially be in as many places as possible.
Got it. Anna, what about for you? You've got 26 brands.
Yeah.
How many different types of partners do you have?
Multiple partners, but I just want to add to Marty's point. We're introducing new metrics lately. So we have customer lifetime value, but we introduced annual customer value, and we found that it's quite profound, because with customer lifetime value, it's very hard to shift that dial and see a big difference unless you compare year on year, 2 years ago. But annual value, you can see what impacts that. So that's been very good for us. And I was pleasantly surprised how many people today mention the whole sales funnel. I think Max had a great slide on that. I hope we'll get to see it at some point. But when we talk about brand awareness and then consideration point and the conversion point as well, I think if you break it down, it just makes it easier to create marketing tactics around every single step of the way, because otherwise it dilutes your ROAS. So, but if you say to Heidi's point, it does look, the top line looks flat just because we run brand awareness campaigns, so we don't have any expectations that it's going to convert. But what are the metrics that we're measuring? Is it the visits to the sites or visits to stores or whatever it might be? By the way, we have over 300 physical stores in the country as well, so we have a whole omni-channel environment, not just online. But so the bigger is not always better in our case, so we're looking for quality partners rather than quantity. Fortunately for us, all the brands in our portfolio, they're very well known. They have a very strong brand recognition in the country. They've been around for, some of them, over 40 years, so it's not that difficult for us to be recognized. So we're just looking for that quality partners and obviously watching the trend, because every one of you have noticed how customer behavior has shifted, yes, during the pandemic and then after the pandemic. So all of a sudden, the online store is not doing as well as it did during the pandemic, and we're not growing 700% up on last year like we did with Everlast, for example, because everyone was purchasing gym equipment. So it's interesting to watch that behavior, and we need to keep it very fluid. So,
excellent. Ian, how many different types of partners do you have at Parker Clay?
We don't have a ton of complexity to it at the moment. We have an ambassador program that's really important to us. We do have some media partners that we work with, but we try to keep it pretty tight. I think though, because of the changes that have happened, especially in the last year, I think this is the spot for us where we really want to invest more. Again, just storytelling and getting that. I really want to impress. I'm sure you guys have heard this today, but authenticity. Like the consumer and people they want that. I mean, I think our consumer, she is walking in the door so much different. Racial injustice.
Yeah.
Just the way things are made and how people are treated. The consumer cares about these things, and we should celebrate that. And so I think that we want to meet that consumer, where they're at, and that partnership aspect has, I think, been abundantly clear. Where finding people who have more authority, more of a voice in those spaces. If Trevor Noah could just talk more about Parker Clay, it'd be great.
Man, so I mean, the story is so powerful for you. So yeah. I guess that does lend itself to content creators, really good storytellers, ambassadors, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I'll give you one other example. An actress named Mary Louise Parker reached out to us a few years back. Yeah. And she just reached out and said, hey, I want to hear more about what you're doing. And she also has a daughter adopted from Ethiopia. And so she said, I'd love to come and see what you're doing. So it's like, let's go. So we jumped on a plane, went to Ethiopia together. And that relationship, which again was very just authentic, has developed into she just was on the Drew Barrymore show and brought her a gift and gave her Parker Clay products. We were on The View, and while we were in Ethiopia, she said, hey, my friend Whoopi, she wants to co-design a product with you. So we co-designed a product, and there's all these advertising opportunities on TV shows and things like that. But what was different for us is when she talked about her favorite things and had our products, she came to it and said, my very good friend, Mary Louise, introduced me to this brand, and I got to co-design this product with that company, and I named this bag after my mom. Oh, wow. And it was like, we were literally in our small little shop in Santa Barbara, and the phone started ringing. We're on like cardboard boxes and like refrigerators, and everybody had phones up to their ears, and it was such an exciting moment for us. And I think that wasn't something that we could have necessarily like fabricated. Yeah. It was very organic and very natural. So I think we learned early on to lean into that authenticity.
There's only one Whoopi I know, so I'm guessing it's Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Now we've got the ideal customer profile. You've got your ideal partner profile. Anna, this one's for you. How do you kind of think about it, combine the two to give a really good experience to the customer?
Depends on the brand, but let's just bring Everlast as an example.
Could we use Replay?
Well, we launched Replay in April, so I don't have that
Okay.
many examples
Yeah.
right now. But the fact that you're wearing it speaks, about.
I had a great experience, by the way.
You're welcome.
Thank
Well, that's what the power of relationship is, right? That's what, to Ian's point, that's something that is very organic and grows from there. But it is the best fitted jean, I have to tell you. Any female on the planet can tell you how difficult it is to find a pair of jeans. So try Replay. You won't regret it. But I think in terms of partnership alignment, so the most interesting, we have many interesting examples, obviously, across so many brands, but the recent ones is the Everlast, because the sales flattened slightly online, so I just wanted to become more creative, and I thought, of course, the best way to go about it is just to look into creating different partnerships with partners that have large databases. So, and what will be a good alignment? So when you sell, we don't sell much of Everlast apparel online, but we sell a lot of it equipment, so sports equipment. We thought obviously people that exercise and the punch bag is the best-selling item. So they're the ones who probably will have a protein shakes a couple of times a day. For an hour, and it would be good to create the alignment with the protein, true protein partner, which we have done. And can I tell you, all these partnerships that do take time, nothing happens overnight. You have to work at it, but it's absolutely worth it. And once you establish this relationship, that leads to so many different strategic alliances down the track. So with Replay, there are a few partners that are coming on board, so I don't have any solid examples as yet, but that's coming up. And we have one of our biggest apparel brands review. We specialize in dresses for different occasions. We established partnership with Qantas airline. You probably heard of Qantas a couple of times, but that's been phenomenal for us because they include us in their shopping catalogs and people that fly around to attend different events, so that becomes very handy. So they just purchase dresses for any occasion through Qantas catalog, and it's been phenomenal for us. And also, we create many alliances through credit card loyalty programs.
Got it, thank you. So Heidi, have you got any examples of where the kind of matching that ideal customer profile and ideal partner profile has gone really well? Or I guess if it's gone poorly as well, that's probably a good learning that we could share with the audience.
Yeah, so when we first started setting out to do dynamic commissioning, we partnered with this one loyalty site. And we're like, let's see what happens if we match, Adidas's cash back on this site. Like, let's see what happens when we go head to head. And when we got back the results, we were like, it did nothing. And when we sat there and we really looked at the reporting, we're like, our Adidas demand was never coming from them. And when we spoke with the publisher, like, we realized that Adidas was less than 1%. And we're like, wow, like we didn't really do our homework to say, like, is this where our non-Nike demand is coming from? Because we really figured out that publisher, their consumers wanted the Nike product. So they didn't care about the Adidas cashback. And inversely, when we started to do that homework and saying, okay, we have a lot of women's demand coming from this other site. And when we tested saying, okay, let's see what happens when we put the carrot out there of 10% on women's products. And that's where we started to say, wow, we got 100% growth period over period when we saw that that's where the demand is living, and let's not recreate the wheel and try to put offers out there that they're just frankly not interested in. And that's where we've seen that really great success. A tip I even have as a marketer now, is making sure our campaigns make sense to the consumer. I think that we're all very intelligent people, and when we're building at these campaigns, it's so great to take a step back and saying, like, would this be relevant to the customer? What is the experience like? Would I understand it? Would my mother-in-law get it, who's also a shopper? One of my favorite stories is always that I was sitting there on Thanksgiving doing reporting, making sure so everything's making sense, and she comes up, she goes, "Have you ever heard of honey?" She's like, "I just feel like there's no way that someone would pay you to shop with them. Like, it just seems like it'd be scammy." And I was like, "Debbie, let me tell you what my career is about." And making sure it makes sense. And I think it's just such a simple thing, but taking that step back and being like, would this make sense? So.
Got it.
Yeah.
Debbie is the mother-in-law.
Debbie is the mother-in-law.
Got it.
Debbie
Okay.
is a cashback shopper now.
Understood.
Yes.
Understood. Marty, any examples of where it's gone really well for you, or alternatively where there's some great learnings?
Yeah, I think to look at that from a different perspective is how could we learn more of what works and what doesn't? So I'm one of the unfortunate or fortunate people that hasn't used Tinder. So I dated pre-Tinder. So I'm not going to miss out on the opportunity to reference Tinder from that swipe right. So maybe we need to think about partnerships a bit like we use Tinder. So, an opportunity to quickly assess the different partnership types that are out there. And if you go on Tinder, you swipe right on a few people, you go on a date, you're not guaranteed that every single one is be your soulmate, everyone is going to be your husband or wife, but you've got to get out there, you've got to go on a few dates, and you've got to work out what's good or bad, and maybe that's a way that we should look at our partnerships a little bit more, test new things and learn quicker.
I'm pleased you got that in there as an example. Anna, any examples of where it's gone really well or not so well?
Do you know, I actually don't have any bad examples. We have created some great travel partnerships, created partnerships with chocolate companies. Chocolate always goes well. And because you look at those partnerships of things that the product that your customer potentially will be interested in, but you obviously don't sell, but it creates a great alignment. But no, nothing's gone wrong yet. That doesn't mean that it won't, but it just hasn't happened.
Any bad dates?
No.
Guys,
We're told for it.
I'm getting a little sign, 2 minutes to go. I might just throw it out to the audience. Does anyone have a burning question for the panel around any learnings, any stories, ideal customer profiles, ideal partner profile? Just put your hand up. No one puts their hand up. I'm just going to choose someone to ask a question. Roger? Alex?
Yeah, for I think Marty specifically, just thinking about Skyscanner's model, are you working with different partner types and measuring them differently based on if they are purchasing on Skyscanner, or if you're looking for customers to pass on to other merchants? Like, do you find different matches there?
So the vast majority of our customers pass through Skyscanner to buy with with an online travel agent or a hotel brand. So we don't measure so much differently. So we measure differently when it comes to verticals. So because we have different visibility on performance, but we think about we measure differently depending on the customer we're trying to target and the publisher that we're working with, because we know that some will deliver great awareness, some will deliver great sales. So it's about setting that up at the start.
Can I follow on?
Sure.
Does that change the way that you then kind of consider the value and maybe then what you're paying those different partners if you're measuring different kind of goals?
Yeah, exactly that. And I think it's quite encouraging. A lot of the publishers, I think, that we're talking to recently are coming into a conversation with really creative ways that we can work together and trying to focus on what are the objectives that we're trying to achieve, what are the results that we want to see as an outcome, and trying to build opportunities around that.
Guys, thank you very much. I think we're gonna wrap it there. Guys, please join me in thanking our wonderful panel today.